It's 8 o'clock. This is Prime News on SABC 3, coming to you live from our Auckland Park headquarters as we build up to the G20 summit. These are your top stories at this hour.
We cut the silence and we say no to GBV! We will not be silenced!
Thousands of men and women adorned in black took to the streets of South Africa today, marching in solidarity against gender-based violence.
We're not fighting fossil fuels, we're fighting the emissions from fossil fuels. That is important.
The European Union has made a commitment to invest millions of euros into South Africa for energy and transport infrastructure development. The conversation has started and it won't be silenced. My name is Beki Mutumomuleta and welcome to Prime News on SABC 3. Now tonight we're talking GBV, G20 and the power of collective action. From the streets to the summit, we're bringing you the latest updates. It's prime time in South Africa and here are your leads. We launch with this. Thousands of men and women adorned in black took to the streets of South Africa today, marching in solidarity against gender-based violence. The sea of purple stretched across the country as survivors, activists, families, and community leaders and ordinary South Africans walked side by side, united by a common plea that the violence must end.
Chanting slogans and holding placards, the marchers moved through major city centres across the country, drawing the attention of the world. Many participants wore ribbons or carried posters bearing the names of victims, a stark reminder of the lives lost and the families left shattered.
I wanted to be here. I lost my sister in 2014 due to GBV, and I've been having this T-shirt from 2014, not as a memory, but as something that I'm keeping, thinking, praying that our government, our president will realize what we women are going through on a daily basis.
For survivors who joined today's march, the moment was emotional, a chance to reclaim their voices, to stand in public without fear and to be seen.
I was raped when I was a child, and it has always been painful to be silenced and not have people stand by you. And today, I say we cut the silence and we say no to GBV!
Organizers say the Purple March is not just a demonstration, but a call for urgency and accountability.
Gender-based violence is not a South African issue. It is a global issue. Where there's poverty, where there's collapsing economies and democracy, where there's marginalization, the violence, it sort of dies on black women's bodies. And in that moment, we really want to observe that in solidarity with Women for Change.
Speaking moments after the symbolic lie-down at the Durban beachfront, March coordinator Dr. Dineo Sefoloko Chitambo explained why it's crucial for the demonstration to send an urgent message.
Essentially, what this move or this lie down was about today was really a way of saying we are looking for attention. We are looking for something to be done quite urgently. And I think yesterday's announcement by the president to say he has declared a crisis is a move in the right direction.
Meanwhile, Western Cape coordinator Merilise Jogiet says the turnaround took them by surprise and reflects just how deeply the pain of gender-based violence runs.
It's very emotional and I think very vindicating for those of us who've experienced abuse to see the amount of support. I think we're just all tired, so everybody from everywhere has shown up.
Prabashni Mudli, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Today's national shutdown is a testament to the collective outrage and determination of a nation that refuses to be silenced. Women for Change has been a driving force behind this movement, amplifying the voices of survivors and pushing for concrete action to address the surge. Welcome back to Prime News on 3. Various demonstrations throughout the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro painted the streets black and purple in solidarity with the GBV awareness movement, the Purple Campaign. Students of the Nelson Mandela University partook in a march from their 2nd Avenue campus to the City Hall, while other residents joined in a 15-minute laydown on the beach in Summer Strand. Similar demonstrations were held across the metro, with residents calling for immediate action to combat growing numbers of GBV in the region. The NMU campus community has been shaken by a series of devastating deaths in recent weeks. Last month, second-year student Sese Tumboza took her own life after she was allegedly raped by a fellow student. In the same month, law student Minentle Hlongwane died after she was stabbed during a home invasion at a student residence. Students say the losses have created a climate of fear, and enough is enough.
Our university in this past few weeks, many students have died because of GBV. Many students have been raped because of this, and also I'm also a victim. So it is important for me to be here, and it is important for young people to be here.
And I feel like this should be a question that many males ask themselves. Why do you want to support the females in their struggle? This has been a very long occurring matter of gender-based violence since the 2000s. But I feel like we, as the young males of South Africa, have now a chance to mobilize ourselves and fight for the women of South Africa to ensure their safety and to ensure that they live in a space where they can feel safe to do, wear and say anything as they feel like they can practice their human rights.
Going back to our earlier story, today's national shutdown is a testament to the collective outrage and determination of a nation that refuses to be silenced. Women for Change has been a driving force behind this movement, amplifying the voices of survivors and pushing for concrete action to address the surge. We are now joined via video link by Sabrina Walter, who's the founder of the organization. Sabrina, thank you for your courage and leadership, and welcome to Prime News on 3.
Hi.
Sabrina,
thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, let's dive into the heart of the matter. What would you say the tipping point is for Women for Change, and how will today's shutdown be a catalyst for real change?
I have worked at the front line of gender-based violence since almost 10 years, so the turning point was a long time before. I have spoken to thousands of survivors, hundreds of families who have lost their daughters, sisters, mothers, and the turning point was a long time before. We have called out for accountability by the government. We saw a total shutdown taking place in 2018, the GBV summit, the second GBV summit, the rolling out of the National Strategic Plan for Gender-Based Violence in 2020. But the reality, what we see on the ground, is statistics just rising and more cases not getting the attention that needed. And it also seems it's getting more and more brutal. So the tipping point has been a long time ago. For us, we handed over a petition on the 11th of April. At that time, it had 150,000 signatures, where we demand gender-based violence and femicide to be declared a national disaster. And that didn't happen. So we called for shutdown to make that happen. And I think we showed the world, and especially the women in South Africa, that everything is possible, because President Ramaphosa announced the declaration yesterday, and I'm happy to say it was signed in this morning.
Now, in today's demonstrations, what would you say your observation was on the support from the men in general, as they are a crucial part of this conversation? And what is the one thing that you would want them to understand about their role in perpetuating or preventing GBV? And also, how can they be better allies?
So today's outcome was absolutely beautiful. It was a very emotional and big moment for us. And seeing the entire country unite and have this peaceful lie down of 15 minutes. And the time before, I was in Cape Town, standing with survivors, thousands of people all over the country, most of them women and members of the queer community. But I was also very happy to see men joining and taking part in something that is so important for us women. I want men to take accountability. I don't just want men to stand with us. I don't want men to protect us. I want men to be held accountable and to hold each other accountable. We as women, we have screamed for many, many years for someone to hear us, but the reality is it is men that need to talk to other men to make it somehow of a dent. So I hope the men who stood up with us today did not only stood up with us today, that they really carry this message further, and that in those WhatsApp groups and those locker rooms and at school and in your sport, in your gym, wherever you are with your friends, speak up if you hear something that is not okay.
Absolutely. Indeed, dialogue is important. Now, the issue of GBVF has been bubbling under, as you said earlier, under extreme tensions for a while. Now, with today being the first national shutdown, please take us through your thought process behind hosting the shutdown during this time when the world leaders are also in the country for the G20 summit.
So I definitely plan to have the shutdown, the G20 women's shutdown, the day before the G20 happens. I always wanted the attention from the world to South Africa and what is happening here. And understand that we have, our femicide rates are 6 times higher. We had 5,578 women being killed in 1 year. We are a country with approximately 60 million people living here. In entire Europe, 750 million people live there. 2,300 women were killed in the same year. This is half of the women that were killed in South Africa. And I think the world has recognized that, how horrific the numbers are, because I sometimes feel South African forget that this is happening every day. 15 women are being killed. 170 cases are opened at police stations, and 95% of those cases will never be reported. And I think we make that happen. I see people from all over the world speaking about the femicide rates, talking about the numbers, and I think this is what I really wanted to accomplish, and we did it, and that we got the gender-based violence and femicide declared a national disaster is a very big moment for us, and I know the work is not over. I know it. I can see it in this moment in our DMs that we have survivor reaching out to us in that second. But I hope this is a moment that we can start holding the government accountable. I will do so. And that we can push for change and for the demands that we ask, like no bail for rapists and perpetrators and murderers. If there wouldn't have been bail, we would have saved Olorato. We would have saved many, many women. So we're just asking for the bare minimum.
Well, Sabrina, thank you so much for sharing your insights and for the work that you do for the movement. And thank you so much for your time. That was Sabrina Walter, founder of Women for Change. President Cyril Ramaphosa has declared that Africa is on the rise as he hosted African heads of state at a high-level meeting in Sandton, Johannesburg. Addressing the gathering ahead of the G20 Leaders Summit, Ramaphosa highlighted the significant progress achieved under the African Continental Free Trade Area, noting that many nations have stepped up investment within the continent.
As we were the only country that is represented in the G20, we now, as South Africa, feel at home, knowing that our own continent, through its leadership, is represented in the G20. This represents another significant step forward in Africa's aspirations to become a strong, united and influential global player and partner. Africa, in our view, is indeed a continent on the rise. Deepening our economic cooperation is essential for continental development and integration, building on our resilience and on our self-reliance and our sovereignty as African states.
An exclusive interview with the host broadcaster of the first G20 Leaders Summit on African soil, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres told SABC News that the two-day gathering of heads of state and government signals the growing influence of the developing world and Africa's active role in global affairs. On the United States' decision to boycott the summit, Guterres commended President Cyril Ramaphosa's steadfast leadership, saying he has not been swayed by political rhetoric.
I think that South Africa, and President Ramaphosa in particular, has acted with a remarkable dignity, and I think that this was the best contribution for the credibility of the G20. Obviously the US is not here, but it's not only here. I mean, the US is not in the COP. The US has not been actively participating in several other international conferences. So there is this trend, which is known, is expressed directly by the US leadership, that multilateralism is not the best way to solve problems. The best way to solve problems is through direct action and individual agreements.
The European Union has made a commitment to investing millions of euros into South Africa for energy and transport infrastructure development. Addressing the media in Sandton, north of Johannesburg, the EU delegation has also raised concerns on the effects of climate change, especially on developing economies.
The EU delegation is in the country for the G20 Leaders Summit and held bilateral meetings with President Cyril Ramaphosa. Agreements on trade, investment and critical minerals have been signed between EU and Pretoria. However, President Ramaphosa says the minerals will be extracted and processed here in the country. European Commission President says that 2 trillion euros have been invested on clean energy, renewables and low carbon energy, but only 2% came to Africa.
I want to be clear, we're not fighting fossil fuels, we're fighting the emissions from fossil fuels. That is important. So the big topic is, of course, always in fighting climate change is energy. If you look at the cut of emissions, I can only speak for the European Union. The last 20 years, we have cut the emissions by 50%.
The European Council President says that the EU is fully behind South Africa's theme on solidarity, equality and sustainability.
The South African presidents of G20 was a very good presidency. They raised central issues to tackle our global challenges, and we are here all together to work together. As you know, the European Union is very clear. We believe in the multilateral system.
The Leaders Summit will kick off on Saturday with several issues affecting the globe to be high on the agenda. Dita Botsoteti, SABC News.
In your sports news, the ongoing fraud case against the South African Football Association president, Danny Jordan, and his 3 co-accused has been further delayed. One of the accused, director and owner of Grit Communications, Trevor Neethling, wants the prosecutor at the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court to recuse himself. This matter will be heard on December 9th, when Magistrate Sharon Soko Rantawu is expected to rule on the issue. And on to the pitch, Springbok captain Siya Kolisi says the Boks will need 15 players on the pitch at all times if they are to beat Ireland for the first time in Dublin in 13 years. Kolisi says his teammates have been working hard to improve their tackle techniques so not to fall foul. The Boks play Ireland at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin tomorrow evening in the 4th match of their end-of-year tour. Now, as we close off this edition of Prime News on 3, we leave you with a message of hope and resilience. Thank you for tuning in. And from myself, Becky, and the team, good night and stay ahead. We sign off with a view into your southern skies. Your forecast is up next.
Good evening and welcome. Let's take a look at what to expect weather-wise for tonight as well as tomorrow. Clear skies over the western as well as the southern interior. Otherwise, partly cloudy conditions, becoming cloudy at times over the northeastern parts, where there is a forecast of isolated to scattered showers and thunder showers this evening. Now tomorrow, seeing that band of partly cloudy conditions, including the southern parts of the country, just clear skies over the western interior of the Northern Cape. Now isolated showers and thunder showers forecast over the northeastern as well as the eastern parts of the country, mainly scattered over the northwestern parts of KwaZulu-Natal into Mpumalanga, southern parts of Limpopo, Gauteng, and the extreme eastern parts of the northwest. Now the South African Weather Service this evening warning of severe thunderstorms, a yellow level 1 warning over the eastern parts of the northwest into Gauteng and in places over the western parts of Limpopo, becoming a yellow level 2 warning in places over Mpumalanga. Tomorrow, those storms over Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and the extreme northwestern part of KwaZulu-Natal. So those storms possibly resulting in heavy downpours of rain, strong damaging winds, large amounts of small hail or excessive lightning. Now high fire danger conditions expected in places over the western parts of the country where runaway veld fires are possible. Overnight temperatures seeing Upington down to 19, Vryburg and Kimberley an overnight low of 17, Pretoria expecting a minimum of 13. Tomorrow a warm day in store with a high of 30, 32 in Mahikeng, 37 is your maximum in Kimberley. It will be a scorching hot day in Upington with a high of 40, 31 is your maximum in Sutherland, Cape Town peaking at 29. Now Sunday expecting cool conditions over the eastern parts of the country with a broad band of isolated to scattered showers and thunder showers widespread mainly over the eastern parts of the Eastern Cape. That's your weather. To stay tuned.